Hello. Boat, don't lick. Good start of the video. Boat, don't lick. He's a funny boy. You are my funny boy. You can see him. So just out on a bit of a bimble. He's doing a nice wee for you. It's a lovely day. Feel very, very happy. Very, very content today. It's beautiful. And this is where we are. You've seen this scene before. Yeah, it's nice. And the sky, we've got blue sky, white clouds, we've got a bit of dark over there, which could be a bit of rain perhaps or not, we'll see. Hey, Boda nearly fell over, mate. Are you okay? Yeah? There we go. Are you having a laugh? As you know, I've got a Withings watch, or you might know, Withings, which means I can do an ECG on it and things like that. And this morning it said the battery's on standby for 3 months because the battery's low. So I'm going to get a new battery. And I phoned the jewellers this morning, but they're closed. I think little shops like that are closed, even though we've got the exit of the lockdown, but I think the little shops are still closed. So as long as they open within 3 months, which I believe they will, then we'll be cool. On the journey here, look at that. It's just beautiful, isn't it? Just so peaceful. Love it. On the journey here, they said on the radio, there's likely to be no concerts and no festivals for the rest of 2020, going right into 2021. So we'll wait and see. But I've said before, you know, things change. They change on like a daily basis. And one of the things, it's only a recommendation, but one of the things they're recommending now is that when you are in enclosed spaces is to wear a mask for a short amount of time. Obviously, you wear a mask for a long time and it gets damp, and all sorts of germs and stuff can attach itself to that. So yeah, so when you go shopping, I suppose you put up in your car, you put your mask on, you go shopping, come back, you take the mask off. But it's a recommendation. So we'll see how that pans out. Wow. It's just so lovely. It's just so lovely being out. Feeling that air. The sounds. The sunshine. It's beautiful. Oh, sorry, boat. Well, we nearly went then. You're right. Oh, bless you. It wasn't you, it was me. The sand is very deep in places, which I've just found. He's alright, he's having a laugh, look. So this is just a bimble on the sands. I'm going to go back to the car shortly, and I bought myself my Slurpee and a couple of fags. So I'll have that and make a video on the end of this, I suppose. Probably be a good thing to do. You okay, my love? Yeah? Hello, my friend. Hello, my big friend. You're my little frog, aren't you? Oh, Captain Longnose. You're very uncertain today. Very uncertain of that water, that noise. But I love it. Should go back this way, my friends. Yeah, so we'll head back to the car and I'll finish off the video in the car. But in the meanwhile, enjoy your day. I think we'll enjoy it more now that we've been sort of locked up in our houses. We've been given a bit of freedom. Make the most of it, enjoy it. Get out, breathe. It's wonderful. I'll be back in a bit. Cheers. Hello. I'm trying to get organised. I'm sure you can't see me, but anyway, let's have a, there you go, that's a bit better. Hello. So we've had a hot bimble, 3,000 steps. Don't sound like a lot, but I'm knackered. So I thought I'd have a fag and a Slurpee and a bit of a chill out. Before, I got a few jobs to do on the way back, but we're sort of heading home just slowly. So I made a very short video on the sands, just to sort of say hello, to show you where we were, things like that. Cheers. Oh, it's so nice. Yeah, I made a short video because I wanted to make this little part of a video just to go on the end of it. We're living through funny times, we know that, but I can't believe some people's attitudes, including a couple of my friends really, about people going out and about and stuff like that. Somebody got quite a telling off. He was on his push bike, and quite a telling off from a sort of a friend of ours, but saying nonsense. You're endangering people's lives, and you know, you're supposed to be staying in. We're not supposed to be staying in, we're supposed to be going out. You can drive as far as you want, you can exercise as much as you want. Things are opening and moving on, and so they should be. I worry about lots of things. My main worry actually is children's mental health, if I'm honest, because they haven't been explained, because you can't, properly what's going on, and you don't want them in fear. They're very confused, they're very clingy, I've heard, a lot of kids are, and yet they're on about going back to school soon. So how confusing is all that? But I think as soon as we get back to normal, the better, for you, for me, for children, for everybody. However, it has to be done sensibly and correctly and wisely. But I saw on one of my, it's only a Facebook friend, but he put, you watch all the idiots out tomorrow in their cars. That was on Tuesday, because on Wednesday, where Boris Johnson had said we're allowed to drive as far as we like and exercise as much as we want to. You watch all the idiots out tomorrow in their cars. What surprised me about that was the amount of comments he got. You can't teach stupid, and let's hope they don't need an ambulance. Some kind of negative rubbish, really, quite hate-filled in many respects. And I don't understand it, because if that person is out in their car, okay, if that person 3 months ago, whatever it was, 2 months ago, got told to self-isolate, and they did, and then they got told there's a lockdown, so they locked down, and then they got told you can exercise once a day for an hour, so they exercise once a day for an hour. And then they queued up at shops, and they stood on the marker, they kept their distance, they wore gloves and a mask, they didn't work, or whatever. If they did all that, because the government said all these steps you must follow, so they did, and now the government say, okay, now you can drive as far as you like and exercise as much as you want, so that person is again following the government guidelines. When did he become the idiot? When did that happen? Was he the idiot at the beginning to accept self-isolating, lockdown, social distancing? Apparently he wasn't an idiot then. He was following the guidelines. Now the guidelines is drive, exercise, do what you like. So he's doing that, and he's an idiot. And like I say, some of the comments really are quite hate-filled. Another one put something similar-ish to that. I can't quite remember the comment. No, I don't want to say it because I'd get it wrong. But again, you know, I'd ask that person, if you're doing everything by the guidelines and you're still now following the guidelines, what is the problem? Don't understand it. You know, love goes out to the world, doesn't it? But hate comes in. You internalise all that hate. That hatred that you've got for these people that are following the guidelines hurts only you. And it's very, very sad to feel like that. We've all got our own ideas and opinions and all the rest of it. We've also got a set of rules, guidelines, laws, whatever you want to call it. And if you adhere to them to the best of your ability, but use your common sense, then I think it's okay. Now, talking about common sense, I'm just going to reach for my bag. I've got something to read, because this is how things are now. This is absolutely ridiculous. But my sister posted this meme on her Facebook. Meme. I would rather spend the rest of the year in lockdown than see a friend or family member die of COVID-19. Okay? I would rather spend the rest of the year in lockdown than see a friend or family member die of COVID-19. So would we all, obviously. If that's the only two choices that we're given. I believe there should always be a third choice, and that is, or use my common sense. So it should say, I would rather spend the rest of the year in lockdown than to see a family member or a friend die of COVID-19, or use my common sense. You know, so whatever you say, you should be able to follow it up with, or use my common sense. And you have got common sense. It's very confusing, all the rest of it. We've got a new little slogan now, haven't we, which is, it's something like stay alert, eat a potato, go out or in or not. Something like that. So it's very woolly, very confusing, and it's meant to be, it's supposed to be. And the government are using, you can do your research on this really, if you Google applied psychological behaviour, if you have a look at that and see how that works, simple way it works is, people go outside on a Thursday at 8 o'clock at night and they clap for the national health, and if you live in a little street of 10 houses and all 10 go out there clapping, that's great. But if one decides for whatever reason that they don't want to go out clapping anymore, then the applied psychology, the behavioural psychology sort of steps in, where the 11 other houses, if there's 12 houses, I don't know what I said, but they all step up and say, hey, what's wrong with you, Gene? You know, why didn't you clap? You should be clapping, you know, you're doing it wrong. So people feel forced into it. And there's also, again, you can Google it, but nudging. There's something called nudging, which again is a psychological thing that the government have been using for quite a while. And it just nudges you towards either believing something. I just need to check that my mic's on. Yeah. Yeah, by nudging, it leads you into a path, and that meme or whatever is the ideal form of nudging, isn't it? If you're given a limited choice between those two, I would either stay in for the rest of the year rather than see somebody die. If that's the only two options that you're given, then you're going to go for the lockdown, obviously, you know. But there are lots more options, aren't there? So that meme could say something like, I'd rather use my common sense, listening to the government as much as possible, however, staying away from people, wearing gloves and a mask when I go shopping, not having anybody in my home and driving alone, but bimbling as often as possible. It could say all of that and more, couldn't it, really? But you get nudged into a very limited, narrow framework within your head that either lockdown or death. But, you know, we have a government that are supposed to lead us. I know they've done a poor job of it, but we have a government that's supposed to lead us. So we should be following their guidelines to a degree, using our common sense. We should be following what they say, not listen to the mainstream press and all the rest of it, because they just add on and they muddy the water anyway, which again is all supposed to be. Now, I personally believe there will be another phase of this COVID-19. It probably won't be. It'll be the flu, but they call it COVID-19. I think September, October time, and I've said that before. But I think that'll happen, and they'll blame the people and say, well, you didn't listen to the guidelines, did you? You know, because it's so confusing. You've got different people, different, you know, in Wales it's different to Scotland, it's different to England. Nobody knows what they're doing. They're governors or ministers or MPs or whatever they're called. I don't know what they call them, but they tell them to do something. I'm English, our person in charge is supposed to be Boris the Clown, and he is telling us something different than other people. So if you live on the border, if you live in England but you work in Wales, then you've got to adhere to different set of guidelines and rules. It's so confusing to everybody. So I can understand people being a bit annoyed, a bit whatever. I don't understand the hatred of it. I really don't understand that. There was all sorts. I mean, somebody moans. There's a reasonably local KFC to me, and I said about my friend's daughter. She had two of her friends following her, and somebody moaned about that. Probably rightly so. There was, it's on a tight corner, and there was half a dozen cars sort of poking out. So yes, by all means, you know, I mean, people have got to park correctly, drive correctly, overtake correctly, and all the rest of it. And people are now not used to driving or riding their motorbikes or whatever it may be, because they've had a number of weeks indoors. So perhaps not very good drivers. But the way to look at that is, okay, you could moan and say, was a KFC really necessary for that girl? maybe not, but whatever. Her mum decided to go that day, and that's her decision, nothing to do with us. But those half a dozen cars, if they were all full of that girl's friends, all had little pink balloons saying happy birthday, and we could see all their happy little faces in their party dresses, that would create a warm feeling within us, wouldn't it? Obviously. So that would be a nice thing if we knew there were children in the cars. Now, if all those cars had a rainbow flag and everybody was dressed in their national health uniform and what have you, everybody just finished a long, hard shift at work and they all decided to go and get a KFC and sit down the beach or whatever, then we would be very proud and probably we'd be clapping that queue of traffic. Do you see what I mean? And we don't know who those people are. We don't know why they're going to KFC or for what reasons. Or they just want some normality in their life. They're just taking a bit of freedom back. And ultimately, it's got nothing to do with us. If it doesn't affect us directly, then I don't think we've got a say. And particularly when it becomes quite a hatred, oh, they don't need an ambulance, things like that, you know. So what if they needed an ambulance? You know, we know the government have said that even at the peak, 60% of hospitals, hospitals were 60%, they got 60% more beds or something like that. On the drive over here, I heard that something like 57% of people that would normally have gone to hospital over this time haven't. And that's the lowest on record ever. So hospitals are now very, very empty. So hopefully nurses, doctors and all the rest of it are not too busy. And go and buy a KFC, doctors, if that's what you want to do. You do whatever you do. So let's spread some love, not some hate. Let's love the fact that we're slowly getting back together. The government are going to... this will happen in probably a week or two. They're going to have something called bubbles, where you can go out and about in your family bubble, but if you've got people that are connected to you, they can also join you. So you can have bubbles joining bubbles, and there will be bubbles of people. And that would be wrong in people's views. The trouble is that people just assume, great, you go out, that means you're going to kill people. And it actually doesn't. And if you go out, mum, dad and two kids that live together, and they're in their bubble, that's fine. And if they go down the park and they meet Granny, who's in her bubble, that's fine. And if Granny's carer is with her, and Granny's carer is in his bubble, and the three bubbles come together, that's fine. There may be no hugging and kissing and stuff like that for the time being, but at least the bubbles can meet, you know, the groups of people like that can meet and maybe have an ice cream or sit on a park bench, or just for Granny to be sat on a park bench getting a load of vitamin D, watching her grandchild run around is wonderful after being cooped up indoors. And I think it is cooped up. You know, I said safe indoors a while ago, and I believe that. But after a while, it becomes that you feel quite cooped up, you know, or you can feel like that. And you end up missing people and just missing life, missing freedom. So I think that'll come. I think bubbles will happen, and whether it's a good thing or a bad thing or whatever, who knows. They're going to keep an eye on everything and then move the lockdown either way, and they may lock us down again in a week or two, we don't know, but they're going to try and waiver it, so they do that sort of thing, you know. If the numbers start going up, then they're locked down a little bit further. If they start going down a little bit, they'll open the lockdown a bit more. So they are doing something. I'm not sure they're doing the right thing, but It's not really up to me, you know. It's the other thing, isn't it? I mean, as soon as you say anything on Facebook, they say, oh yeah, well, what would you do? Well, actually, I would do nothing because I'm not a politician. It's not my job to do that. Or people say, oh, I suppose you could do better. I don't know. Because we're not told the facts, so I don't know the facts. How could I do better when I don't know whatever this is, whatever the facts are? But, you know, spread some love, not some hate. There was a girl there with a mask on. Now she's out in the sunshine. She's got a cap, a hoodie and a mask. Oh, and gloves. And he's an old boy. He's got his shorts on, no gloves, no hat, no mask. That's the worry, isn't it? That people will walk around like that outside with a mask on and gloves and a hoodie, and you know, you're not topping up your vitamin D, which boosts the immune system. You're not exposing yourself to any germs and what have you, which we need to do. We do need to do that. We need to touch our steering wheel, touch our faces, you know, have this stuff in the air, have this stuff on our skin. Let the body do what it does best, and that is to protect us. Anyway, so a bit of a moan there, a bit of a whinge, a bit of a whine, a bit of a rant. Call it whatever you like. But I think that if things don't directly affect us, then let's mind our own business. Let people do whatever they do. We're so full of fear that we just believe somebody going out down the beach to a park, meeting their grandmother, whatever, is a terrible, terrible thing. And it's because of the nudging, it's because of the applied behavioural psychology. That's why. It's because of what we've been fed, how we've been programmed and conditioned. And the most important thing is to use our common sense. Where are you going to drive? When? How? Who with? Who will you meet? How long for? What will you touch? What will you breathe in? I suppose to end this video, you can sit indoors in fear, can't you? As long as you like. But we've done that. That's been done. It has been done. And I think it's now time. Now time, you know, if you feel it, then it's time for freedom to come back. It's time to go out and about. I just said I believe there will be another lockdown. I believe once a flu season starts again, September, October, they will call it COVID-19. So we've only got June, July and August. We've only got 3 months. And if you're going to sit indoors shitting yourself for 3 months, that's fine, that's up to you. But don't spread your hate on somebody who decides not to live their life like that. Everybody's got a choice to make. Everybody. And also, if you follow the guidelines, you follow the science, you follow what you're told by your leaders, do that. Within reason, using your common sense. Okay, enough. Take care. Back soon. Be well. Ta-ra.